Hi everyone, this is Julie from Totally Holistic Health, and today I'm going to do a really nice gentle routine that will help develop the core a little bit as well. The core work is really important with yoga because it's really helps you just stay really strong and helps develop obviously it's good for your tummy muscles as well, but obviously it just helps you develop that inner strength as well, which is really important with yoga, because don't forget, yoga isn't really so much, it is about the postures, but also it's really about developing that awareness of your body as well. So actually developing that core and that inner strength is really useful. So we're going to do a little bit of core work today, amongst other things as well. Obviously strengthening up the legs, trying to ground down as well. So hopefully I'll also offer lots of different alternatives as well. So it's just go with whatever feels right for you and just go with your own pace. Okay, so we're going to start off with just opening up the side body first of all. So if you want to bring your right hand onto the mat next to you, make sure that your elbow crease is facing upwards. And I always find if you bring your other hand just behind your back, it just opens up that hip, so it opens up that chest, opens up the shoulder, and we're going to just bend that elbow down now towards the floor. And again, just feel that lovely stretch on the side body, opening up the ribs. And also be mindful of just keeping that shoulder back. We're not going to drop that shoulder forward. We're really going to keep it open and opening up the chest. And again, you might want to just stay here, or if you do feel you want to, again, just bringing the arm overhead and just feeling that lovely stretch on the side body. And then coming back to centre, and the same on the other side, making sure that shoulder elbow crease is facing upwards. Again, bringing the hand just onto that hip to open up that shoulder, and again, just bringing the elbow down towards the floor, opening up the side body. And again, bring the arm overhead. If that feels good for you, just to increase that stretch in the side body. Brilliant. And then coming back to centre. And now we're going to change the cross of the legs, so it will change the dynamic of the hips. So if you want to bring the leg that was in front behind and do the same again. It just feels a little bit different in the hips. If you do have issues with your hips, you might want to actually just come a little pillow or a little bolster or anything, a cushion or a blanket underneath your bottom, just to raise your bottom up, which will help lower the knees as well. So we're going to do the side to side again. So again, elbow crease facing up, other hand on the hip, and we're just going to open up the side body. And again, bringing the arm overhead if that feels good. And then coming back to centre, and the same on the other side, elbow crease facing up, hand on the hip, opening up the side body. And bringing the arm overhead. And coming back to centre. So now we're going to come onto all fours. So make sure that your hands are underneath your shoulders and your knees are underneath your hips. And your hips are, your knees are about hip width apart. Make sure your hands are really widely spread. It just helps protect the wrists. If you do have problems with your wrists, what you can do is just fold the front of the mat up and just use the heels of the hands on that, the folded up bits. Or if you've got issues with your knees, you can fold up the mat so you've got a bit of extra padding under the knees. So fingers spread nice and wide, growing out of the mat. So we're not going to jump into our shoulders, we're going to really push away from the floor, really strong posture. We're going to curl the toes under. So now we're going to just push back with the hands and just straighten up the legs into a nice downward dog. Again, just adjusting the hands or the feet so that feels nice for you. Maybe walking out the feet as well. Just to stretch the back of the calves, the back of the hamstrings. I always think it's nice just to come onto the toes as well. Just push back with the hands even more, pushing the bottom up into the air. Just feeling that lovely stretch in the shoulder blades. And maybe just nodding the head or shaking it just to release the neck. And then lowering the heels back down. Wonderful. Now we're going to bring the right leg into the air, into a nice three-legged dog. And I think it's actually really nice just to bend that knee, just to open up the hip to the right side. And bringing that leg back to centre. Now looking between your hands where you actually want your foot to go, we're going to bend the standing leg and just lunge forward into a nice runner's lunge. So again, just feel that lovely hip flexor stretch here. Maybe rock backwards and forwards. Now if that's a bit strong, you can bring the knee onto the ground with the foot flat. Again, it has a similar sort of does a similar sort of thing. Okay. Just feel that lovely hip stretch in there. So what you can do from here, if you want to go, if you are actually on your knees, what we're going to do now is actually almost like push the hips together. So really feel that pushing into the hips. Very gently, we're going to come back, really, really tight glutes, come into a nice lunge there. And again, bringing the hands into Namaste. And bringing the arms above the head for a very gentle back bend, if that feels good for you. Coming back down. If you want to try that with a back leg curled under. Again, really, really feeling that tension in the hips, keeping the hips really, really tight. I'm going to come up into a lovely lunge. And again, bring the arms above the head. And bring the hands either side of the front foot. So now we're going to bring that back leg in just a little bit to about 45 degrees and come up into a nice warrior two. So again, making sure that we are right angles with that knee. We're not overshooting that knee over the ankle. We're trying to keep it all nicely levelled. Pushing away with that to back leg as well. So the little toe side is pushing away. Really strong in the legs. And then bringing the arms up. So again, it's nice just to sort of maybe breathing into that. So if you want to breathe, coming into that a little bit more. Feel that gorgeous stretch. Rotating that front arm, bringing the back hand either onto the hip or onto the back leg, and just coming back into a nice reverse warrior. Bringing the arm down, hand onto the thigh or onto the floor, bringing that top arm just behind the hips, opening up the shoulders, and either bringing the elbow overhead, and bring the elbow back down. Again, with both legs, hands either side of that front leg, bringing that knee down, flattening that foot, and just walking the hands back, straighten up that front leg. Feel a nice stretch on the back of the hamstring, and maybe pointing the toes as well, see if that feels slightly different. And walking the hands back either side of that front leg. Now we're going to bend this front leg underneath this into a pigeon. So we're going to land on that knee, making sure the back leg, the knee is pointing down with us. Okay, so this is a really lovely stretch on that glute. So if you're not feeling that stretch, what you might want to do is just rotate that bottom leg round. So you're dropping down a little bit more. Try to keep the hips nicely level. If you do find you're dropping down on the right hand side hip, just pop a little block or a blanket underneath there as well, just to keep that hips nicely level. And again, just breathing into that. Use that breath. Again, you can come onto the forearms if that feels good. And spend a couple of moments here. Coming onto the hands again, and curl the back toe under and get the front leg to join the back into a nice downward dog. And then we're going to bring the left leg into the air. Again, bending that left knee, opening up the hip to the left side. Coming back to centre. Then we're going to look to see where we want the hands to go. Bending that standing leg. We're going to lunge forward and bring that leg between your hands. Now again, you can just physically drag it through. That's absolutely not a problem at all. It took me a while to actually work out how to bring it through properly. And again, either keeping that knee on the floor or off the floor. You can try both methods if you want, see what feels good for you. And again, if you've got your knee on the ground, making sure the hips are really, really tight, clenching those glutes. We're going to come up into a nice Anjali Mudra. Very gentle crescent bend, and then coming back up. Again, if you want to, into a very gentle back bend. And then coming back down. Again, curling that front foot, back foot under. Again, making it really strong, keeping that tightness in the glutes. Coming up. Hands above the head. Whoops. Coming back down. Brilliant. And then rotating that back leg to about 45 degrees. And then coming up into Warrior Two. Get really, really strong. Pushing away with that back leg. And breathing into it. Rotating the front palm. Either bringing the hand on the back of the hip or down the leg. Coming into a nice reverse warrior. And coming down, hand onto the shin, onto the thigh. And again, opening up that chest, bringing the hand above the back. And the arm overhead. And bring both hands either side of that front foot. Bringing the knee down. And walking the hands back. Again into a nice stretch on the back of the hamstring, on the back of the calf. And maybe pointing the toe. Again, see how that feels. If it feels right for you. And walking the hand back. We're going to bend that front leg now into a nice pigeon. You feel that lovely stretch on the back of the leg. And again, if you can't feel that stretch on the glute, just maybe rotate that foot round slightly. So you're just lowering down a little bit more if that feels good for you. Don't overstretch. If you want to come back to here, that's fine. If you want something underneath that hip, just like a blanket, again, just do that. We're trying to keep the hips nicely level. And if you want to come onto the forearms, again, just feel free to do so. And very gently we're going to curl the back toes under, come into our forearms, into a nice plank. Pushing the heels away from you, really strong. I'm going to come onto the forearms, to a nice forearm plank. We're lowering down onto the ground. And just resting your head on your forearms. I'm going to bring the hands either side of the chest now. Now really make sure that you're pushing your feet into the ground. If you've got lower back issues, try to bring the feet to the outside of the mat. Give an extra bit of strength of pushing the pubic bone down into the ground. And very gently we're going to come back into a lovely gentle back bend. And releasing that down. And again, coming back up again, pushing the pubic bone into the ground, pushing the feet away, really strong legs. Before coming back down, bring the hands either side of the chest. I'm going to push back into a nice pose of a child. And very gently coming up to sitting. We're going to bring the legs out in front of us into staff pose. So again, if you've got issues with your lower back, or you can't have using your core socks quite so much, just use a cushion or a blanket or something just underneath your bottom, just to tilt the pelvis a little bit. Now the feet out in front of us. So we're going to bend the right leg, and we're going to bring that over the left. So bring the arms above our heads. Again, feel that lovely stretch at the side body. And we're going to bring the left arm and wrap it round the right leg and the left arm behind. Again, using that hand just to push the tummy around. So we're actually trying to just wring out that waist rather than just bringing the head round. The head round comes round last. And then back to centre. Swapping legs. So we're going to bend the left leg. Just pop that over the right. Arms above the head. And I'm going to bring the left arm, wrap it round the left leg, and twist round to the right. And then back to centre. And very gently, we're just going to come into a nice seated pose, either into cross legs, and very gently just check into the body and see how that actually feels now. Just being aware of any sensation, any discomfort anywhere in the body, and also just breathing into it. If there's any tightness still, just make sure that you're breathing into that area just to release it a little bit more. And bringing your hand into Anjali Mudra. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.